Aerodynamics. Today I'm going to cover static pressure. Static pressure. Uh, Maybe sometimes you may be asking yourselves what the main four forces acting on an aircraft in flight. What causes them, or what caused them to behave the way they behave with regards to the aircraft? Well, I can tell you that the behavior of those four forces, thrust, drag, lift, and weight, their behavior somewhat is caused by some properties of the air the aircraft is moving in. You know, an aircraft is flying in the air, but the air itself has properties that play a great role in the behavior of the forces that are acting on the aircraft. First of all, you know that the air contains 78% of nitrogen, 21% of oxygen, and then the rest of gases. There are other gases as well. They only account for 1%. 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, and then 1% of other gases. The air has a lot of properties, but the ones that are relevant, that are mostly relevant to aerodynamics, are static pressure, temperature, viscosity, and density. Those four elements, those four properties of the air are very crucial in aerodynamics. So today I'm going to go over one of those properties. It is static pressure. So what is static pressure? Okay, static pressure is the weight of the air per unit area, per square feet above some level. Okay, so let me repeat that static pressure is the weight of the air in per unit area above some level. Okay, so we one of the level, okay, some level, but let us consider sea level. So we can say that the above sea level, the weight, let's say, okay, above sea level, the weight of just a column of air with a cross sectional of 1 square foot is 2,116 pounds. Above sea level, the weight of the column of air with a cross sectional of 1 square foot, one square foot is 2,116 pounds. That's above sea level. So we can safely say that static pressure on a standard day, okay, is 2,116 psf above sea level, or 14.7 psi above sea level. That's on a standard day. Standard day has meaning. When you hear standard day in aerodynamics or in flight theory, there's a meaning attached to it, which I will go through in future YouTube videos. So that's static pressure. So now that number I just gave you, it's not going to be constant, because as the air let me put it this way, as you know, the air is thinner up there. So as an aircraft, increases in altitude, so the weight of the air reduces. The weight of the air reduces as an aircraft gains altitude. So in this case, if the air weighs less, so the static pressure is going to be less as well. So the static pressure varies with altitude. The higher the altitude, okay, the smaller is the static pressure. And inversely, okay, that means the lower the altitude, the higher the static pressure is going to be. Okay, so you have the column of air from the sea level extended upward through the atmosphere, cross-sectional area 1 square foot. Okay, that's the standard day static pressure above sea level. And and the units are PSF. Okay, for 2116 PSF or 14.7 PSI. Okay, now there's two more ways static pressure is measured. Static pressure also is expressed in terms of inches in mercury. Okay, and the standard number above sea level is 29.92 inches of mercury. Okay, and that is the second way to measure static pressure. There's also a third way. This is the one that weather people use the weather people use mostly is millibars. Okay, in order to let us know what's going on in the atmosphere. All right, so now one thing that you need to know, that remember I told you that the static pressure decreases as the aircraft altitude increases. Okay, so at 18,000 feet, for example, okay, the static pressure is about half of what it is for the standard static pressure at sea level. Okay, remember that. Remember that at 18,000 feet, the static pressure is about half what it is at sea level. But in aerodynamics, it is convenient to use pressure ratios instead of actual pressures, because the pressure, the ambient pressure, is different from the standard sea level pressure. So it makes sense to use pressure ratios instead of the actual pressures, because of the variations as the aircraft gains altitude and stuff like that. So in aerodynamics, pressure ratios are used as opposed to actual pressures, delta pressure. Okay, so the pressure ratio depends on the altitude in which the aircraft is at a certain time. So it will be okay, static pressure, okay, equal pressure divided by standard sea level pressure, and that will give you the pressure ratio you're looking for. So basically it depends on where the aircraft is in the air. Different altitude, you're going to have different ambient pressure. in that ambient in that particular location of the aircraft in the air, you take that ambient pressure, you divide it by the standard pressures at sea level, and then you get your pressure ratio. Okay, that's it for static pressure, and then which is one of the properties of the air that act on that cause the behavior of the forces on an aircraft flying in the air. So next time we will see. I will probably cover one of the other properties, such as viscosity, density, and temperature. Those are very important as well.